What is up, guys? Happy Monday. So let's take a look at the weekly Bitcoin chart. The candle has just closed and let's see what that reveals for the week ahead. So you can see Bitcoin is currently trading at 30,152 and there's basically not much happening for just over the past 2 weeks already. The market is very boring, something that we see from time to time. So what does that mean? By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe down below, smash the like button. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. So you can see here, I have these two arrows. This is the weekly chart. And you can see we are currently following a very similar pattern here. The big green weekly candle. And then here we had three basically super indecisive kind of candles here. So basically it did exactly the same what we're seeing so far. We've had two of those candles. This is the third one. So we get this big impulse and then the market is flat. It just stays in this tiny range. And then we got another move up and back down. So I'll zoom in a little bit. I do think there's a possibility that we still get this kind of setup here. Now, whether that happens this week or whether we get another indecisive candle exactly the same and then only up next week, I do still think that this 32.4 level is going to be taken out, right? And you can see that it's very much just this level over here. And you can see how close we are to it, 32.2. It's actually 32.4, but on a weekly chart, it's a little bit hard to move that here, especially since I'm using the trackpad only. So for now, that is still my bias. I do still 2.4 can get taken out. And maybe that's something we're gonna have to wait and see when that happens, is that we don't just get a wick above it to take the liquidity and then drop back. Maybe it continues going, and the next target, in my opinion, would be the CME gap at around $35,000. So it is possible that once this consolidation here completes, if we get a leg up and we take out this 32.4, that it just actually continues going and goes up to 35, closes that CME gap, and maybe get a pullback only after that. So the most important thing to keep in mind is, as you can see over here, the price action is still very much above both the 200 weekly moving average in red and the 50 weekly moving average here in blue. And as long as that's the case, the trend is bullish. It's in full-blown bull market territory, and we stay long until we're wrong, until we get an invalidation, which would be a new weekly close below 27,000, below the 200 week moving average. As long as we're above there, as long as the price stays above 27,000, the bullish trend is still in play and targets are higher: 32.4, 35, 40, maybe even 48. Okay, so we just continue to play the trend as long as the trend is bullish. When we get an invalidation, obviously I will share that and I will make a video here on the channel explaining that. But for now, the trend is simply just bullish until it is invalidated. So what we have here is the 4-hourly chart of Bitcoin, and you can see this is basically those two weekly candles, very low activity, very low volatility, and this is the range that we've been in, and this is very boring. This is always very much a trap for any active day traders, people trying to trade with leverage, because it just stays within this range and people trying to take positions. The price basically doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't trend. All it does is gets these wicks up and wicks downs, and anyone who's trying to short and long with high leverage, they usually just end up getting liquidated. So the rules of a range are simply, as long as it's trading within that range or within the middle of the range especially, you just simply don't take any positions. You only start looking at taking positions towards the extremes of a range, the high or the low, right? So what we had initially was this range over here, high to low. And what is interesting to see on the 4-hourly chart, you can see it wicked, it took out this low over here, then it went up and it wicked and it took out this high over here. So again, this is your standard, I don't know what you want to call it, manipulation, algorithm, just frustration, bait for traders to get them in here. After such a nice move up, anyone who caught that is obviously doing well. Then they get tempted to overtrade, get chopped up, or people who missed that move, they get FOMO and they want to, start trading within this range, and again, they get chopped up. So the best thing you can do here, if you do trade with leverage, is simply just wait for the extremes, either the high extreme or the low extreme, and that is currently what I'm waiting for too. So like I said earlier, on the higher time frame, my expectation or my bias is towards that 32.4 and maybe 35,000. So what that means is the higher time frame trend is bullish. I do have this higher upside bias targets. Then what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a long entry with a leverage, right? Now, obviously, we got in at 25.3. I shared that on the channel already. But looking for the next long setup, I do want to take a long position here with leverage, but not at current levels because, again, it's still within the range, right? And it's pretty close to being in the middle of the range. So what I'm hoping for this week is that we do get some sort of sweep here of the lows of this range, this low and this low. So like this squiggle suggests, that we go somewhere between 29 and 29.5, right? And then if we rebound from there, obviously that is the key, you need that criteria, because if it doesn't bounce back and it doesn't get back into a certain level, then it can continue going lower, and then you obviously don't want to be longing it, right? So the idea is we get a drop below these lows, back into the range, and then target the highs, right? So if you're in VIP, I'll be sharing this in the Discord if we get that set up. And if you're not yet in VIP and you want to join and you want my insights and real-time alerts when these trade setups and ideas play out, then click the link in the description down below. You'll be able to sign up and you'll be able to get access to that too. So for now, it's just a waiting game. Maybe we get another whole week trading within this range, but I do expect a resolution at some point. I do think my bias at this point is up, like I said. So let's see if we get the sweep of the low first, then back into the range for a long trade targeting that 32.4. And if we get something like this, right, this is obviously just an idea, but the upside, you can see that's a potential 1 to 11 risk reward trade setup, which will be very, very profitable if we get something like this. So trading, especially day trading with leverage, is very much a waiting game. You got to be patient, with your fishing rod. You're sitting there, you're waiting for someone to bite. You're waiting for that perfect entry. You're not looking to force any types of trades when there is no optimal setup. That is how you just burn through money, burn through fees, and so on and so forth. So by the way, if you want to trade with leverage and you don't yet have an account with BYBIT, use the link in the description down below. You can get up to $30,000 in deposit bonuses, and there's going to be some fun things happening soon, because in August there's going to be the World Series of Trading. It's like this global competition that BYBIT puts on, where you can create squads and teams. So basically you have a squad leader, and then you can sign up to, you choose whoever your team is, and then you can follow, and then there's going to be competitions as a group, like people who do the most volume, random giveaways, all sorts of things. There's literally going to be millions of dollars in prizes. So if you sign up through my link, you'll be able to join my squad for that. I will share more details about that in the next week or two as it becomes available. But, that is the benefit of signing up through my link. So if you haven't done that yet, sign up down below. For the rest, be safe, be patient, wait for an optimal setup. If there's no setup, don't try and force any trades. And let's see what this week brings us.